Reflect. Are you ready in disaster proofing your business? And picture here, one thing I'm reminded is, especially within communities and a lot of talk, as you'll see in the news, is around the seasonal readiness. And so we're rolling into our winter season, and important to be prepared for our winter. The next screen I have, because I have 3 screens. Did it work? Is it still the same screen?
It's it's like the welcome statues in the agenda.
Okay, awesome. Next, I just wanted to make sure it was working. So today we started off with our welcome and introductions. Just an overview for all of us as a reminder who helps look after us in emergencies and within really the mainland Coast Salish communities. And then we'll have Peter share about your business backup information and what that could look like. So I'm grateful that you're here to share that. What are emergency alerts? Do you have them? And again, talked about emergency support services, important to be aware of that should you be evacuated. And then guidelines for preparedness for continuity planning. There's 15 steps, and yeah, just do a check-in with those first 5. So as we know, in why are we concerned? We know, especially and turn on the news lately, disasters are increasingly impacting us. Earthquakes, flooding, wildfires. We recently just had a premiere presentation in Canada we hosted. It's called Elements, Reimagining Wildfire, and it's documentary of forest fires in California, where they've had them, and how they're reimagining forest fires. Landslides, 2 weekends ago, more landslides just along the number 1 there. Severe storms, I'm sure we're getting those warnings. Explosions, hazard materials. We just had a spill over close to Semiamo, which are still cleaning up. Structural fires, many impacting communities and businesses, and cyber threats. So how many other disasters in businesses or in community that go unreported, and really the largest impact when we think of our impact to business continuity was the atmospheric river event. So just a snapshot, and I'm sure we all know this, that just recently this year, the ministry for the province of BC that's responsible for looking after us wherever you are as a business owner in BC is the Ministry of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness, known also as EMCR. Tons of acronyms within the emergency planning world. So they are British Columbia's leading coordinating agency for all emergencies that we just recently talked about, the management activities, including overall preparedness, the response to the event, the recovery from the event, and also the mitigation. We have 6 regional offices in the province, and where we are in our businesses and organizations is the Southwest region, and that's out in Green Timbers. And if ever there's a time that maybe we'll plan for the new year, I think, to have a visit there, or have one of them maybe join our call to talk about how they support us. Also, again, acknowledging the Emergency Planning Secretariat. That's a organization that's helps look after the 31 communities. So from Yale all the way to Semiamo. They have the community champions. There's 13 that have come on board just within the last 6 months to help plan for in community within our mainland Coast Salish communities. plan for emergencies. And we're finding that many businesses and community members that live outside of the community, but that are connected to one of our mainland Coast Salish communities, they're reaching back home to say, I've had, this disaster or emergency in my business or as a family, and still reach back to the community to get support, and how can that supported. So really exciting. It's the first time since the work I've been doing in 2007, we have this many emergency program coordinators supporting our in-community businesses. So why are we concerned? If you're not aware, and you'll see every day updates around aging infrastructure, the new risks, as an example of that different cyber threats, and also we just came out of the COVID pandemic, the highly dependent communications and technology. So I'll have Peter share about that. Transportation sector, we know that when the Highway 1 shuts down, Highway 7 or Highway 9, there's really only a couple ways in and out of the Lower Mainland to the interior. So there's 3 reports, if you haven't gone through them, that are First Nation driven around impacts to communities. That's a fire, Waken Us. There's a large Shovel Lake fire in 2018, and then there's EMCR that did Addressing the New Normal, disaster management in British Columbia. And do know that there's a number of videos and updates. Also adding to this, when we talk about emergency support services, I'll update my screen, is the new Ombudsman report. I can't say that, Ombudsman report that just came out around looking at how communities and how community members, business owners are looked after in evacuations. Yesterday it was shared that the average evacuation for anyone, business owner or community, the average time in British Columbia now, as of the last two serious wild forest fire seasons, is 20 days. So that's a new measure to be prepared to look to be out of your business or your home. The average in BC is 20 days now. So also so important is the emergency alert. So if you don't have Alertable on your phone or your those are your business, encourage that you have the different emergency alert systems that are out there. Recently, last week, actually, when we were in Lacamo doing the ERA Tool ESS boot camp, you all recently would have received that alert on your phone. So that is the provincial emergency alerts. Additional alerts is Alertable. That could be the area you're in or where you're going. And so that is really important to have those.
We also have in Lacamo, we have Connect Rocket as well.
Yes, but did you want to share? It's an amazing tool, what that is.
Yeah, so our Connect Rocket is where we're going to be using for emergency notifications. I don't know much about it personally. I know Stephen and Christina had researched it, and they've put it live. So it's another one that I can get connections, get alerts on my cell phone or my computer. Depends on how we want to sign up for it. And it identifies different situations that occur within community. I love the Alertable app as well. So I get local within community, and then I get from service providers outside of community as well.
And what's nice about Alertable, many of, I have the list, I think there's 14 of the regional districts and municipalities that use Alertable also. And also another program that I got asked to be connected to is around spills, and there will be alerts to businesses and communities around the spills that are taking place. Right. Did you have here? I thought it'd be a great time for you to also share, Peter. So I'll stop sharing my screen. Did you want to share your screen?
Did you want me to go ahead with
Yeah,
my
sure.
presentation?
I would love that.
Okay, fantastic. Well, good morning all. Peter Goodsword, Paramount Digital Security. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Screen 2. All right. You see the business continuity, disaster recovery, and backup slide.
Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so as I said, my name is Peter Goodsword. I'm Cree from Montreal Lake First Nation in Saskatchewan, world's whitest First Nations person. So I started in IT when I was, let's see, how old am I now? 57, 58. I can't even remember how old I am, which is probably a good thing. I built my own first computer when I was a young teen out of wires from a Radio Shack. It was basically a calculator back then, and I remember the first Apple computer when Apple was a tiny little company. They came to Chilliwack School District, and they brought the Apple II computer to the district. And I've been interested in computers ever since then. And went to back then it was UCFE instead of UFE. I graduated from there. I went to BCIT, did some management programs at UBC, got some industry certifications, network engineer. So I've been doing a lot of private certifications. Started my company in 2001. We do a full range of IT services. We serve small business, industry, First Nations, a lot of First Nations across lower half of the province in BC. So the IT industry has changed a lot over the past few decades. A lot of people still think of it as, hey, my computer's broken, come fix it. And that's sort of the old reactive thing. It's just like, my car doesn't start, can you come fix my car? But nowadays it's all about cybersecurity, and this sort of brings us back full circle to business continuity and disaster recovery backups. It's all about cybersecurity, actually. And in your slide, Diane, you mentioned about cybersecurity. It was the last bullet point on your slide. And let me advance my slides here. And this is actually one of the most pressing needs right now, because for most businesses, it's not a matter of if you get hit, it's when you're going to get hit. There's so many threats out there right now, and a lot of businesses are asking themselves, well, I'm just I'm small potatoes. I sell, handmade cards, or we're just a small construction company. We just frame houses. Like, why would anyone want to, why would cyber bullies want to attack us? Well, they don't know who you are, and they don't care. You've got an internet address, you've got an email address. You're just, you make money, they want your money. That's what it boils down to. Okay. And so really, they want your money. It's just like a thief. They're just thieves. They're just out to get your money. Okay. And so this is where business continuity and disaster recovery come in. So really, when we're talking about business continuity, it's basically keeping your shop open during a disaster. Okay. And then with disaster recovery, it's returning it to normal after the disaster. Okay. And whether that be a flood or a natural disaster, whether it be a cybersecurity incident, it's really kind of the same thing. Okay. And then why does this matter? Well, it's, you know, and no matter what the incident is, it really boils down to it's a loss of data, it's downtime, right? It's a damage to your reputation. And of course, it's a loss of income. Okay. Whether due to, you know, you not being able to make money in case of a business, or in case of a government, you not being able to operate, and you can't access funds, right? So some of the key elements of disaster recovery, we're talking about data backup and recovery, redundancy, having multiple copies of your backups. We're talking about having that data stored off-site. Excuse me. And we're also talking a little bit about being able to test those backups. And that's really an important thing, because if you don't regularly test your backups and restoring those backups, how do you know they're working, right? And so as an IT service provider, that's one of the things we have to do, is we have to regularly test to see if those backups are working. Okay. Some of the backup solutions are things called on-site backups. That means we back up to a hard drive or a set of hard drives on-site that's in your office. Sometimes we back up off-site to another office somewhere in your neighborhood, whether it's another building on site or near your office, whether it's our office, or whether it's another office, maybe across town. And then there's cloud-based. So cloud-based usually means it's a specialized data center located somewhere. Like the one that I use is what's called a tier 3 data center, and it's located in Ottawa. So it's a tier 3 data center means that it's basically gotten a certification that's basically good enough to store Canadian security intelligence secrets. So the Canadian government stores their top secret stuff there, right? And we use that location for our backups. Okay. So some of the common backup mistakes that happen. A lot of people don't actually back up anything at all. Now that's probably the worst mistake that people can do. And my friends do it, my family does it. And it's just, it breaks my heart to see, you know, oh, I lost all my family pictures. I'm like, Auntie, how could you have done that? I told you, you know, let me know. I'll help you get your backup set up. Oh, I know, I should have talked to you. Well, okay. Not backing up at all is the most heartbreaking thing, because it's so easy to do, right? Especially when you got someone like me in the family, right? Just come talk to me, I'll help you. The other one is missing some data. So people will go out and they'll go to London Drugs or Best Buy, and they'll say, oh, I need to back up some stuff, and they'll sell you something, and they'll say, here, just buy this and you'll back your stuff up. So they take it home, they start their backups, and then they'll lose something on their computer, and then they'll try and restore it, and they'll find out that backup solution didn't actually back the stuff up they needed. So some backup solutions don't actually back everything up that they need. Okay. Case in point, if you use Microsoft 365 for your email, SharePoint, that sort of thing, the stuff you go buy at you know, those little backup drives, it won't back that stuff up typically. Third point is forgetting to renew your backup services. So if you pay for an online cloud backup service, you may, you know, set down your credit card, $20 a year. Oh, that's pretty cheap. You do that. sometimes, and I've had this happen with some friends. So they'll sign up to, I don't know, iDrive or some service. And then a year later, they'll get an email, please renew iDrive. And they go, iDrive, what is that? I don't know what that is. It's probably a scam. And they forget all about what it was that they signed up in the first place. Suddenly they're no longer backed up because they forgot the name of it, right? And then they're not backed up again. So they had good intentions, but they forgot what it was. They don't renew, bang, they're not backed up after a year or two. Okay. Another backup mistake is they'll back up locally only. So in other words, they'll go out, they'll buy a backup drive. It'll be sitting on their desk. Heaven forbid, there'll be a flood or a fire. That backup drive will be destroyed as well, or maybe stolen. Now your computer and the backup are gone. Now what? Okay. Another problem is if they just back up to the cloud only. So why is that a problem? Well, you back up to the cloud, you have gigs and gigs and gigs or terabytes of data, and suddenly your business needs to get back all your data because your computer died, but you need to get back in business tomorrow, but it's going to take you 3 weeks to get that data back, but it's in the cloud. Well, you can't wait 3 weeks. You got a project coming up. You've got your customers needing, we got to get this stuff done tomorrow, buddy. Otherwise I'm canceling my contracts with you. I can't wait 3 weeks. We're going to go to somebody else. Now you've lost a bunch of business, right? So having cloud is great, but sometimes you also need local. Okay. Next problem is daily only and no version control. So some backup solutions will back up once a day. But what happens if you're, let's say you've got a really high traffic business and you're doing, say, 2,000 transactions a day, okay? And you only back up once a day, and your system goes down, you don't notice it. And 2 days later, something happens. Now you've lost 2 days worth. You've lost 2,000 transactions. So you don't want a daily backup for those types of systems. You want stuff that gets backed up minute by minute, right? So you need to talk to someone who knows the actual backup schedule. So you want things that get backed up at an appropriate version history, okay? So an IT person should be able to tell you exactly the type of backup that you'll need to do. Another problem is open files. So there are types of backups that cannot back up files that are open. So if you're in the middle of editing a Word document, most modern backups can back up that document, but there are some older types of backups that can't back it up because that file is open. So you have to make sure that your backup system knows how to back up an open file, okay? Do you know what backup systems can and cannot do that? No, but an IT person can, right? So you have to find someone who knows how to choose the appropriate backup system to back up these open files, okay? And in terms of testing restores, so we normally will test restored. So what we'll do is we'll once a month, we go to our client backup systems, we'll grab a random file and we'll restore it and we'll check it out, make sure it's restored properly. This just tests the backup system to make sure it's working. Throughout my career, I've heard horror stories of, other companies have gone in, they've backed up their client stuff, but they don't test them. The server crashes, they go, oh, we'll do a restore, and the backup system isn't working. As a matter of fact, I know a company that just did that 2 weeks ago. Their entire server, all their data gone. Nothing, none of the backups worked for 2 years, right? It said it was backing up, but none of the backups worked. Okay, so you have to test the restores. We do that every month. Okay, and the last point here Are they malware proof? And what does that mean? So now the bad guys know that you are backing up your data. So when they go in and encrypt all your files and go, haha, you can't access your files now, they know you're going to back it up. So that's what they're going to do now. They're getting smarter and smarter. So what they do is they go and follow the trail and they wipe out your backups. Okay. There's a new type of backup called immutable backups. And these backup systems cost a bit more, but what they do is you can only write the backups to disk. You can't delete them. They're undeletable. Okay. They're kind of like a CD. You know how you can write, the old writable CDs? You can only write on them. You can't delete files from these backups. So they're called immutable backups. So these are more malware proof. So if you got, let's say you're a bank, right? And you don't want any of your data deleted, or your research lab, whatever, you can pay a little bit. It's a little bit more. It's like a 20 or 30% premium on top of your storage fees, but you can go and get immutable backups, right? Anybody can do it. I mean, I could pay, you could pay, anybody can pay that little bit extra to have immutable backups. It's just another layer of security, right? So that's something else you can do. Okay. Any questions so far on this stuff?
I want to thank you for all of the reminders. And yes, I'm just thinking of some of those disasters that I'm aware of with those larger companies, thinking of the Quiet Lodge, the fire there. I'm thinking of Squilix, 27 homes in the wildfire this summer, and their businesses, their gas station, their businesses there. And then, and of course, the village of Lytton and Lytton First Nation losing, both of them losing all data they had. The village to like a whole entire village and in the First Nations community. So thank you for the reminders.
Yeah.
So important. And I've done a couple of those backup mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. As an IT provider, a lot of people don't realize what goes into some of this stuff. And it's our job to do an assessment, look at what the data you have, make plans as to, how to achieve the results that you need. Excuse me. Choose the correct backup solutions for you, ensure, data security if the data needs to be encrypted, see what you need for redundant backup systems, redundant data storage systems, failover. And failover, what that means is, if you've got, say, servers, file servers in your office, if you have a business that's critical and relies on it, if it fails, do you need a second one, right? So if the first one fails, it immediately cuts over to the second one, right? Monitoring and alerts, and we do this for every company. So we watch all machines for our clients, and we have a really lightweight little bit of software on all the machines, whether it's a laptop or desktop, and it just monitors them and alerts us if there's a problem. So if it's running out of disk space, if there's a pending hard drive issue, it just gives us a monitor and alert so we can go to the client. As a matter of fact, 2 days ago I had one, and it's the hard drive starting to fail, so I let them know, this machine might have a hard drive failure coming up soon, so we might want to take a look and replace that before the hard drive actually dies. We know, right? Training and awareness. So we have cybersecurity training programs. So once a week or once a month, whatever, we can send all employees for companies a short little 5-minute video. They just get it in their email. They watch a video. They answer 4 questions on the video. It's just a quick little training session teaches them how to, for instance, not fall for scams, right? It not only helps them in their work, but it helps them in their personal life too, right? Because people tend to fall for things, right? And you know, if you're on Facebook and you send these you pass these little things along, like, from this date I will no longer, you know, allow Facebook to share my data. You know, it's just a scam because it doesn't work, right? And people fall for these little things that they're not sure if it works or not, but hey, it can't hurt, right? But sometimes it does. You know, one of the biggest ones that's going around right now is, oh, there's this hurt puppy that I found on River Road. Please share. And so you've got all these, and they show this sad little dog with you know, a little bit of blood on its cheek, and oh my God, look at that poor puppy. And then they share it, and they're being shared thousands of times. The problem is it's actually a scam. River Road, they don't give a location. You look at the guy's profile and it's empty. So what these are is, and again, it's just another scam. Scammers are really wise, right? And so these training and awareness programs that we provide for our clients will teach you how to look for these scams, how to identify them, and not fall for these things, right? Incident response, again, that's kind of self-explanatory. If there's an incident, we respond, right? Compliance and regulation, we have rules in Canada. We have, BC has their own set of rules and compliance, you know, for all sorts of things, you know, for sending emails, for legal compliance. We just try and make sure that our clients are following those rules. Continuous improvement. And that's sort of around budget, of course, because not everyone can afford to spend tons and tons of money on the best IT everything. So the way we approach it is, we have a nice big list. There's industry standard lists of these are the things you should be doing. Let's tackle the top threats right now. What can we afford to do? Let's tackle the ones that you can afford to do, right? And then let's go through this list. So year 2, let's tackle these next items, right? So everything's a little bit of improvement. Every year we tackle these things, and we try and get you to safeguard your company. And that's the way it is with anything, even physical, like on premise. You know, this year you're going to put you know, sandpaper on your steps. You know, the year before you put better handrails up, right? Everything's continuous improvement, right? That's the way it is, whether it's physical, whether it's safety, everything. You got to do your best. You can't afford to, you know, nobody's got bottomless pockets, right? It's the same with IT. We just do slow, continuous improvements over the years, and we help with our clients to do that. And of course, with documentation reporting, the last item, we help you document everything. We give you reports, and we work with you. So, you know, a lot of people don't want to hear IT stuff. They think, oh, it's all the techie stuff. And I get it, because I actually don't like computers a lot at the time. Like I said, I'm kind of an outdoorsy guy. When I get out of here, I'm outside, I'm enjoying the outdoors. I don't want to hear about computers. Even though I do it a lot, I got another life. I want to be away from the computer. So we try to limit the amount of techie stuff for you. If you want to meet quarterly, we'll meet quarterly. We'll give you a nice, quick, easy to understand report about what's going on with your IT systems. If you want to meet monthly, that's fine. We don't meet weekly. That's just too much for people. But quarterly or monthly, you know, and then we'll do an annual thing for you. Anyway, that's about it. If you guys have any questions, here's my email address. Here's my website. I give free advice. If you guys want to send me an email, you want to talk, I'll just send me an email. I'll have a chat with you at any topic, IT topic. I don't mind dispensing free advice. I love talking. So please feel free to reach out anytime, and we'll make an appointment, and I'm happy to chat with anyone about backups, disaster recovery, any IT topic. Always glad to help. So thank you very much for your time.
Awesome. Amazing. I was reminded, and I've learned so much from you, and I'm going to think about my backups. Does anyone have any questions, or is there one thing that stood out for you, or that you learned that you didn't know? And welcome, Debbie.
Hi, thank you. I had a meeting before, so I was a little bit late. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's wonderful. And we have recorded it, so we can send it to you after we're done.
Thank you.
All right, Diane, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. You got it recorded, so.
Thank you.
For me, that presentation reminded me of our last year, because we just went under contract with a new IT company last year. But yes, we kind of were being held hostage by our former IT. There was no backups. There was no security. We've changed a lot. The one I haven't heard about is the immutable backups, so I will look into that some more. But yes, we here at the center of I've learned a lot about IT security and IT stuff this year. People walk into my office and it's like, how many monitors you got going? I said 6.
Yeah.
So they said, you're almost as bad as an IT person. It's like, when I first started, it's like I couldn't tell the difference between a Cat 5 and a Cat 6 cable. A cable's a cable, in my opinion. I didn't know there was names to them or what they did. I can now identify many parts to our server.
That's impressive, Don.
I know what an end user is.
You're ahead of the curve.
Oh, wow.
It has been, but it's been an entire year of rebuilding and restructuring here at the center, and data security was a huge portion of that. But yeah, it's been a year. Sorry.
I'm going to check out names of cables. I didn't know that. Is there any questions that anyone else has? Or something that you learned? Maybe we'll. Shannon, did you learn anything new from the presentation before we continue on with mine? Yeah.
I think it's definitely, I mean, we've referred to Peter a few times for some of our clients that are looking for IT help as well. But I love the way he speaks, because it's like, oh, that's techie. I don't know that. And that was kind of my attitude. It's like, oh, I don't know this. But, you know, as business owners, we all have to know a little bit about every aspect of our business. So I love that there's training available that you can get about your IT systems. That it's not just take somebody's word for it. They can actually help you train to learn more about it, because you do need to know this at some level. Yes, it's always changing. So that's amazing. I'm so glad that Peter was able to share that information today.
Bridget, anything that stood out for you?
I
see
just
very
thought
techy
it was
also.
interesting that they said it was backing up, but it actually wasn't. Like, that's probably so common and so scary at the same time.
Debbie, was there anything from the time that you joined us? Just any thoughts or maybe questions you have about the work that you're doing in community, the backup information for CHIAM, but also the businesses within the community connected to CHIAM?
Yes, I think that we've got a really good IT program here. Because I know that there's an icon on my desktop and I touch it and somebody responds to me and fixes things quickly. So I hope that CHIAM has a good IT backup, because, well, I do believe that they do. Can't guarantee what if I'm backed up. I feel confident here. I know that I can't take my laptop and access anything at home because the confidential files, I can't log into my own internet at home and open up all the files that are on my laptop. Does that make sense, Peter?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if someone were to steal my laptop out of the back of my vehicle, I believe that it's all secure and nobody can access my shared files.
That's good. It's the way it should be.
Okay. And I also thought about the puppy on the side of the highway, on the side of the road. When my friends share those, I always distrust and I want to send something, but then I believe I'm getting caught up in the scam as well, as soon as I've commented.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I'm thinking of our community businesses and those other businesses that should you need to evacuate. As we know, we think of our closest nation that just recently had to evacuate the entire community of Boothroyd, and most of Boston Bar was evacuated for over 2 weeks for the functioning of businesses or our communities. Are you able to, if the average, as we learned yesterday, Debbie, I was sharing, average in BC to be evacuated is 20 days. Are you able to access and keep that business continuity going if you're evacuated from your office for up to 20 days?
Yes,
So,
I believe so. I think that I think that my business would be able to run on, but I don't know if about the rest of the community members. You know, I've asked them to come to meetings and do things like that, but I'm not sure if they're quite ready to.
so I'm going to continue. If there is there any other questions or thoughts or comments or anything you'd like to wrap up with, Peter?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. Just briefly, I've talked to, of course, I do work with First Nations, and you know, I've heard a few things, you know, in terms of emergency planning, and there's two sides to it, and one is, you know, in terms of the role of technology, and on one side you hear, you know, well, technology doesn't really count in an emergency because, you know,
Oh yeah.
the phones go down and the power goes out, and so we can't count on them, you know, we can't count on tech to help us. And then yet you have software, you've got, you still have, people still have cell phones. There are generators, right? There are still, sometimes you still have cell phone service. Sometimes you still have generators, and sometimes the power isn't out. There are still situations where that does come into play. So you can never tell what situation you're going to be in, right? So I think there's always going to be some technology in the part of that kind of planning. And so I think that there's always, it's always good to not discount anything. Anything can be part of your tool set, right? And, you know, for me personally, and I've told you this before, Diane, that I can pick up and move my business anywhere because I'm virtual. Everything, I can operate anywhere. And like I just recently purchased Starlink, and I have Starlink Roam now. I converted it to Roam, which means that my Starlink antenna, which is sitting beside me, I can throw on my vehicle. I can drive anywhere. I've got a generator, so I can literally drive to the top of Sumas Mountain, and I can operate my business out of the back of my truck as long as I have enough fuel in my truck. So I'm looking at that actually as a potential business package to see if there's any interest for other organizations, whether, you know, I have to convert it to, there's conversion systems to convert it to 12 volt, so it's more efficient. because right now it runs off of AC. But I don't know, is there any interest from First Nations for having 12-volt Starlink systems for mobile?
I've heard of Starlink, and thinking of how important that is, and I think it's has been briefly discussed, and I think with our emergency program coordinators and who I get to spend the most time with throughout the mainland Coast Salish, is that need. Some of our communities, having the basic equipment. Some do have laptop systems that they've purchased to be able to work remotely. And I know from the events that I've been participated in, if they'd had that Starlink, it would have been a definite bonus. Thinking of the Lytton Creek wildfire and the struggle we had with connecting to internet, and when we talk about the importance of technology, when community members are evacuated to over 25 different cities. We know there's mostly spread out throughout either one part of the province or other, based on the disaster or different countries. The importance of staying connected through technology, through thinking of Wednesday was the evening that we connected with all the other community members that were evacuated for up to a year. So yes, I would like to know more about the Starlink. I'm interested to see what Debbie and Dawn think, but many of the EOCs, or whether they're on a different location in community, or they could go set up at a reception center, or just thinking like of the Cookbee fire. They didn't, Boston Bar Boothwood lost all that service for quite some time. To be able to have that remote setting, I think is important, and would like to learn more about that myself, in what that package might be, and share that with our Indigenous businesses. Debbie, any thoughts?
Yes, I wonder, I'm curious, Peter, I've seen lately vehicles. I live right here where the pipeline's getting built, as many of us do, but I'm just wondering, I've seen in the back of vehicles with a satellite dish. It's a permanent satellite dish built onto the back of their pickup truck in the bed of it. So what's that? Can you tell me what that is? That's not what you're talking about that you have, is it?
It is, yeah. So Starlink is a division of SpaceX, and there are a bunch of satellites in low Earth orbit. Now, Starlink offers two different antenna packages. Okay. So there's one called Roam. And what it is, it's a lower cost antenna. And right now, you can buy the hardware for $500. It's normally about $700. But you can buy the antenna for $500. And it's designed to be stationary, but you can move it anywhere in North America, plant it on the ground, and it plugs into AC power. Okay, so you can run it from a generator, and then you connect computers to it, and you have internet. It's not designed to be used while in motion, but some people are doing that, and it works. Okay. Now, in order to do that, there is a kit that you can buy where you cut the back open, you remove some components, you convert it to 12-volt DC, and you mount it on your truck. So there's a manual conversion process, and you can mount it on your truck. And the advantage to it, it's relatively cheap to do. The second option is you can get the actual 12-volt truck mount system from Starlink, which is designed to mount on a truck, which is quite a bit more money. like thousands and thousands of dollars. Okay. So there's the two options. Now, the one I got is the less expensive option that I'm probably going to convert to 12 volt myself.
Okay.
Now, a friend of mine who is himself, I'm a amateur radio operator, is trained to build, and radios. So bit of a ham myself. So friend of mine builds mobile internet trailers for the government. So he does this for forestry, I believe. So when forestry has forest fires, they hook these trailers up to their trucks, they go out to a base camp, and they have internet there. And he's the guy who builds those trailers. Okay. So I'm going to be talking to him about this. And he uses he doesn't use SpaceX. He uses a different satellite system. I think he uses Hughes, which they're awful. They suck. I've used Hughes before and they're not very good. But the SpaceX one it's the cat's meow. Starlink is really good. I'm very, very impressed. But they're really easy to use, and they're really good. Like, I mean, they're really good. High speed, and they're just an amazing piece of technology. Anybody could use them. They'll fit in a large briefcase, and you just plug it in to one of these little mobile batteries, or you plug it into, and off to the races. So yeah, I think they'd be great for an emergency situation,
Awesome, thank you. And
something to think about.
Yeah.
Sure is.
So amazing information to think of, because how many of our businesses need the internet and need their technology to operate. Should there be power outages? Should they have to move their businesses, or again move out of their business location and work remotely? So and that's our purpose for today and our topic. So amazing information shared. Don, did you have any questions before I finish with my presentation? Anybody else? Thank you so much. And definitely we'll look to have you do a presentation for our EPCs and for our communities besides businesses. So thank you for that.
I do have one more question. Yeah.
Oh, sure, go for it.
I do. The at GM here in our band office, I was told that all of our phones are now electric, have some electric capacity, and we can't just plug in an old school phone into the cables or into the connection. Can you explain that more, Peter? Can I not go get an old school phone from London Drugs and have it, a not a electric phone? Can I still not do that when the power's out, or was it that the truth told to me?
I'm thinking what is probably meant is that they're called IP phones.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. So an IP phone is basically internet protocol. So they're basically a small computer. And the telephone signal is now sent in a packet the same way over the same network that you're getting your internet on your computer.
Okay.
So it's exactly the same. And I'll bet you on the back of the phone, there's a network jack for your computer. You may be sharing the same jack. So it's correct. You can't use, it's a different technology than the telephone, the old style telephone. The old style telephone used just a small low voltage 4-pin, and these are 6-pin or 8-pin RJ11 connectors. But yeah, it's a better technology now.
It is, but you also, when the power's out, we can't use the phones.
Yeah.
So Dawn is shaking her head, nodding her head. And I personally think that everybody should have left the old school line in their home and in their building.
I
Yeah,
have one.
I still do too. I know
Do
that
you have
I'm
a
gonna be able
landline
to,
phone? Anybody
Yep.
else?
I'm
But-
keeping mine,
But
One.
but
Uh-oh.
but you can run what's called a soft phone, which is a software client on your cell phone that, and it depends the vendor, but some of them have a soft phone, which basically, because it's a computer, you can run software which emulates your desk phone on your cell phone. So in other words, you should be able to run a copy of your desk phone on your cell phone. So talk to your phone vendor. And so if the power is out, you should be able to take phone calls on your cell phone.
oh. Well, I gotta look into that. I don't even know really
Yeah.
how that works, but I'll look into that.
It's called a soft phone.
Soft phone, okay.
Mhm.
And what's the application in which we would use that?
Well,
Just-
I mean, you can carry your desk phone on your cell phone. You can carry it anywhere. So no matter where you are, you can take your desk phone is in your hand.
Wow.
So as
Okay.
you travel, your soft phone will ring. So you're carrying your desk phone in your hand. You can forward
Okay.
the calls from your desk to your, and in the application, like that little icon will ring. It won't be your phone. It'll be the little application will ring. And then you answer that app. And not all vendors have them, but you should be able to do that.
Well, that's good information. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions, Debbie?
No, that's a lot of information for me right now. That's good.
Great. Excellent. I've learned so much. I'm going to finish sharing my screen and finish sharing the next part of the information that I had to share. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yep.
So some news in BC on November 8th. There is a new emergency management legislation that was passed and a task force to pave the way for more resilient communities. So if I think if you didn't know, but this was just passed through the legislation, they're doing information sessions. We recently, last Wednesday, through the Abbotsford Community Futures, there was a presentation on the update of the new legislation for businesses through the Community Futures there. But just know that there's a new way of doing business for emergency planning. Overall, it's a work in progress. Some of the changes, the language to Indigenous governing bodies. There was a presentation around how that connects and impacts our businesses. That we could get that information for you, but just to know that there is new legislation to support the impacts of disasters in businesses and communities. Again, we talked about emergency support services for us in the Southwest Preoc, us as business owners and communities, that there is some additional support in really taking a look. Again, we talked about the report that was just launched around the impacts of ESS, lessons learned. what needs to take place for the emergency support services from the 2021 devastating forest fires. So you can pre-register. So as a business, as an organization, and yourself as family and community, you can pre-register on the ERA tool, and that should you be evacuated, you can have direct payments into your bank to for your lodging and for your food. And that's even if you choose to stay with family. More and more here in the mainland Coast Salish, pretty tough to find commercial accommodation, meaning a hotel. Many are pre-arranging and planning to stay with family should they need to evacuate from their home. And so again, well, recognizing some smaller businesses and communities that they don't have maybe an app on their phone or able to bank on their phone, thinking of our elders or seniors connecting to business. But just a reminder, there is growing support, and you can pre-register should you be evacuated from your community. So again, thinking of business continuity planning, what could go wrong for your business? If something went wrong, how would it affect my business? How would the critical operations of my business be resumed? And am I aware of the emergency plans or contacts in the community or your business area in the municipality or the community that your business is located? So just want to acknowledge we have Debbie here. So should you be a business owner in Chiam or connected to Chiam First Nation, Debbie is the emergency program coordinator, and you can reach out to her. And also, as Dawn has shared, the Mission Indian Friendship Center took some ICS 100 and some great resource there. And also Dawn is connected to LaCamo for their emergency program team there. So one of the steps for your business is the 15-step process, which is can you just hold 1 second? I hear a loud noise. Just 1 second. Apologize for that. I have some help support cleaning my home. The one thing of having a home office. So so going back to sharing is know your risks, protecting your people connected to your business, protecting your property, know your operations, know your people, who are your supporters, who are the key stakeholders connected to your business. As we talked about today, protecting your systems, your network, telecoms, and protecting your information. How have you taken inventory of what you have for your business? Know your finances, where to relocate. Do you have a plan? Who knows the plan? So should you be away, thinking of the holiday seasons coming up, who knows the plan for your business if you have staff? When do you exercise your plan? As we talked about backups, when do you exercise? When do you update with changing businesses, keeping up to date? And where do you go for help? As today's amazing support of where we get the IT support. So So again, I'm just recognizing the time. One of the things that supporting yourself as an individual is knowing your risks is step one, and how you do that is through a risk assessment. So there's online forms, or this is the information I can sit down with you and go through that. Step two, protect your people. Are your staff aware of the hazards for your business, your evacuation plan, shelter in place? First aid, who's your go-to person? Do you have an emergency kit, and have you conducted drills? any special needs of your employers, and do you have a household and business plan? Protect your property insurance. Not all losses are eligible. We know due to the increasing forest fires, checking in with insurance around the changes now around the forest fires. Protecting your property, fire extinguishers. Who here knows how to use a fire extinguisher?
Yep.
We here in the mainland Coast Salish also have a lot of water. So a sump pump system, do you have a backup should you have some extra water? And again, this is something that my role is to go through one-on-one with your business or organization to help walk through these questions. Know your operations. How do you perform your operations outside of your community? What would impact your business if you were not at the location that you're at? Who do you call if you need those resources? And what are your contracts? How are they impacted for your business and financial obligations? As we talked about, if the average in BC that you can be evacuated from your business location is 20 days. So again, yeah, some simple, basic forms, critical operations, and I know me and Debbie have sat and identified the risk for the businesses and community of Chiam, and working through those critical operations. Know your people. I can remember from Quiet Lodge, the staff and connecting to the artisans when the fire happened. She had the contacts for all the artisans that had artwork, and in being able to respond to them after the business caught fire, and having that arts and crafts store, and having contacts for those that had the artwork in the business. How can you access your information after hours? And do your staff know your plan? And if you're in community, are you connected to the emergency plan in your community? So it's a two-way communication. And as we share today, I think all of us here have those extra resources and skills, ham radio, ESSD, understanding emergency services, who to your business can be there to help support you. So your staff contact list, identifying their emergency contacts. Do you have that for your business? And all important out of province emergency contact. Staffing levels, cross-training, how do you delegate authority, and what are your alternate working arrangements? And then, so for our time together here, this is the first 5 steps that we reviewed today. Again, an introductory, and following that, working one-to-one with you in your business, or myself coming out to sit with you to go through those first 5 steps, and just knowing, as Peter shared today, just doing a few things, a few steps at a time can help you. So with that, any thoughts, questions, or comments? And just appreciate you being here today. And the discussion is very dear to my heart, as emergency planning, as you all know. And any final thoughts or comments?
Diana, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to speak here today, and I thought it was fantastic. It was a really nice session. So thank you so much for that opportunity.
Any other thoughts, or Shannon on today?
I always learn so much from these sessions, like personally, and then information that we can share with our businesses and that too. So yeah, I've jotted down a few notes. There's a few things I'm going to send to people. So this was another great session. Thank you.
Dawn.
Well, as emergency management workshops always go, I see a lot of work I need to do. So thank you for that. Um,
I can come help.
But thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I just happened to have crossed it in, I think it was online and emailed, and it was very short notice that I was able to attend, so I appreciate that and look forward to doing the work.
Got you thinking.
Yeah.
Debbie.
Still muted. There I am. I'm on unmute. Yes, I'm really grateful for the satellite information. I've been really curious about that. What's driving around, who's got those satellite dishes in the back of their vehicle. It looks like it's usually a management person that's probably with the pipeline around here right now. So I'm really glad that that's crossed off my list. I don't know. I needed to know what that was. So, and you answered, Peter, a lot of my questions about the phone, because I just couldn't believe that all the phones could be switched over to IP in the whole building. Like, what the heck? And so, no, really good information. Thank you very much.
And Bridget?
I'm just very curious to see personally and professionally, like with work, if like I think we should be okay for IT, like everything's probably backed up. But I'm just still hung up on they thought everything was backing up, but it's not. Like I'm just and like all about the pictures and family pictures and stuff. Like that just blew my mind.
Yes, and it's in sharing and discussion that we learn from each other and right, learn from other people's mistakes and just I'm so grateful. Thank you, Peter, for all the information you shared. You've got me thinking. I know I even have liked on a lot more work to do and also to share that message. So I think it's December 15th, correct, Bridget, is our next workshop session, and that will really be talking about seasonal preparedness and the winter break. And if there's any topic that you would like to know or other businesses that you would like to invite, it'll be December 15th at 9 to 10:30. We'll have another workshop with interesting information around supporting your business organization. And just thank you for your time today. And take care, enjoy the weekend, gorgeous weather, and just thank you for all that you do to support others, your family, and your businesses and organizations. And remember self-care. We'll see
Thanks,
you soon.
Diane.
Thank you.
And
Thank
we
you,
will have
everybody.
we'll have this video shared online if you'd like to watch it again for parts or share it. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
take care. See you later.
Okay. Bye now. Bye, everybody.